Wearing luxury watches in public in some cities around Europe and the United States have become so dangerous that we as watch enthusiasts have to rethink how we wear our luxury timepieces when in these hotspots. Watch theft is nothing new. However, the numbers in some areas have recently doubled and tripled, and I think it's important to bring up this subject and talk about it. By doing so, I hope that you'll take some steps to ensure that the watches you bought with your hard-earned money do not become targets for thieves and robbers. Last year, I came across a video shared by a doctor recounting how he was robbed in Barcelona after a night out with his wife. His prized Rolex or Omega watch was snatched away. Just a few days ago, I stumbled upon a heartbreaking story about a man tragically stabbed to death in London, all for a replica watch. On a personal note, a friend of mine was viciously assaulted and stabbed by a group of thugs while strolling through Paris one evening, resulting in the loss of his Rolex. The situation in the city of London, for example, has escalated to a point where police are having to do sting operations, with undercover officers sporting watches to nab criminals when they strike. Although a welcome sight, it is clear that these operations aren't sufficient, because the sentences handed to these criminals are often laughable. For instance, Paul Thorpe highlighted a case where a boy was repeatedly beaten and stabbed in the head, and the perpetrator received a mere £50 fine. The watches of Switzerland in London fell victim to robbery 3 times, totaling over £450,000 in losses. Yet one of the caught culprits was handed a pitiful 16-month sentence. The deterrent is lacking, and with that I think such crimes will persist. But I digress. I'm not here to talk about solutions to combating crime. I just want to raise awareness to fellow hobbyists about the risks associated with flaunting luxury timepieces in some cities. And let me start by saying that the best way to prevent having your watch stolen is not wearing it at all, especially when you're out and about in some big cities. As a watch enthusiast, it pains me to say it, but it's the truth. It's just not worth risking getting killed, stabbed, robbed, or even harassed over. I'd love to take my RS GMT on a business trip to London. I like having the GMT function in a watch when I travel. I'd like to sport my Omega Seamaster when on a beach holiday in Barcelona or south of France. But it's not the smart move to make. Why do I want to add an element of risk to myself every time I go to such places? I wouldn't advise rocking a replica Rolex like this one here, or a flashy micro brand either. Thinking it's just a fake, nobody's gonna bother stealing it. Even if it's a fake and it doesn't cost much, remember, those thieves don't necessarily know it's a knockoff. And the experience of being mugged is not especially a pleasant one. If you really want to travel with a watch and enjoy your time without worrying about it, go with a Casio. You're less likely to be a target of watch thieves with a Casio on your wrist. I use my trusty Casio when I travel. Sure, it's not the most eye-catching accessory out there. It's battered and bruised, and it's seen better days. But it tells the time, it's got a second time zone, a date feature, and everything else you'd want in a watch. It's been with me on mountaintops, and I've had it when I went surfing. I wear it to the gym, and it fits nicely under the cuff of a shirt. However, if you must wear a nice watch in some of these crime-ridden areas, just remember to stash it away in an inner pocket or hide it under a cuff during your commute, especially if it includes walking on a street or hopping on public transport. On the upside, the places where you'd have to worry about your watch being stolen from you are in the minority. Most cities are still safe, and you can enjoy wearing your luxury watches publicly, no problem. We all enjoy wearing our watches, but this is the reality we're being faced with in some parts of the world. We have to now navigate a fine line between style and security. Ask yourself, am I putting myself in harm's way? To what extent am I going to be asking for trouble wearing this watch? I think that's a very sensible thing to ask oneself when wearing a luxury watch. If you've made it this far into the video, I'd like to say thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your stories on traveling with watches, and some tips that you may have to prevent anyone with a watch to get into a situation of having a watch stolen. That's it for this episode. If you like this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I wish you the best in your watch journey, and I'll see you in the next one.